it is amazing to watch everybody sort of snap back into this. And in some levels, it feels to me like the same inclination that we get with war. There's just something ill with these people.
It's reflexive, isn't it?
Yes.
It's just reflexive. And just to wind up the Clinton thing, I think it's really important to sort of recognize at the bottom of it what's really going on. They do want to please their base. They want to go after Clinton. They want to, rope in the mainstream media, and so they're using Clinton. But what they really want to do is defang Robert Mueller. And every one of these pseudo-scandals comes back to an idea that they can either discredit Mueller, perhaps ask him to resign, which is what the Wall Street Journal and David Bossie, who is kind of in charge of this whole thing. David Bossie, for those who don't know, is a longtime GOP activist and operative who originally did Oppo research. He's the guy who created Citizens United, the court case that unleashed all this big money. And he was also the deputy campaign manager for Donald Trump and was tasked with the job of beating back the Russia investigation. He sort of runs the war room from outside the White House. This is a coordinated attempt, and he wrote an op-ed in the Hill this week saying that the Fusion GPS dossier and the Uranium One, all those stories, all lead back to the FBI. And the FBI was run by James Comey, and James Comey is acquainted with Robert Mueller, and therefore Robert Mueller is fatally tainted by this association and will either have to be dismissed or they will have to start a separate investigation, a separate special prosecutor to prosecute Hillary Clinton. And that's really what they're after. They'd like to get rid of Mueller. If they can't get rid of him, they want to discredit him, and they want to start this other special prosecutor investigation, which the Wall Street Journal editorial page also started the drumbeat for, in order to have two separate Russia special prosecutors, one for Hillary Clinton, one for Donald Trump. Both sides do it. Let's dismiss the whole thing. It's all a bunch of nonsense. That is the ultimate goal of this particular set of scandals that they've had. And, the mainstream media is doing a terrible job of unraveling that, and I don't know if they will because, they love this Clinton stuff even more than Donald Trump stuff, as we saw in the campaign. So, I suspect that it's possible that Jeff Sessions, and they're calling out Jeff Sessions by name, saying you have to appoint a special prosecutor to prosecute Hillary Clinton. That's what they're looking for.
Well, this is all. I mean, I think this is all. I think, like as you're saying, it's all in anticipation of Mueller coming out with I don't know, indictments for some people and results that I think show at the very least a bunch of financial corruption amongst. I don't know if they're going to find collusion or whatever it is. But they're certainly going to find stuff that is not going to be healthy for Trump. I mean, he's very worried about it. But, at the end of the day, I never thought the Republicans were going to impeach him anyways. So it's really just they're creating a narrative for their universe.
Right.
And because to the extent that narrative holds any water in the rest of ours universe, it was never going to be operable anyways. I don't even think the Democrats are going to impeach him if they take over the House, let's say. Maybe if they take over the House, they'll do it, but they don't want, they want to run against him in 2020 at this point.
Sure.
And so this is all basically, at the end of the day, it's just going to be to me, it seems like the value in this politically, which is not to say that this stuff isn't legit, but the value in it politically is really, it just keeps Manchin and Heitkamp and Donnelly in the fold and says, okay, you guys, and maybe, some Democrats in the House too, because it's going to say okay, to get these tax cuts, you're going to have to do something about those half a dozen Congress people from New York and the ones from California and the ones from New Jersey because you're not going to give deduction on state income tax. I mean, this is basically what it comes down to, right? It's just like, where are they going to get these extra 15, 20 votes on these tax cuts? Because for them, both ideologically and in their minds, I don't know if this is true, but at least in their minds, politically, they're dead if they don't get these tax cuts. They're useless because they are. It's the only organizing principle the Republicans have. Everything else just emanates out from, is reverse engineered from this desire to cut taxes on wealthy people.
Right. And, and they're only answering in that regard, remember, to their donors, to their rich benefactors, because their base, that they're in a totally different universe. They're caring about an entirely different set of concerns that have to do with hating their, I guess maybe it'll make them feel better that Donald Trump gets to sign a piece of legislation. But, do they care about tax cuts? Not really. It's like it's just some symbolic sort of thing. And maybe it will make them, it's possible to make them feel better because it shows that Donald Trump is in charge of the Republican Party and can actually do something. But beyond that, as far as the substance of it, they don't care. This is purely a gift to their donors. This is something, and in fact, half of them, I've begun to figure they're going to lose their seats, so they want to get the tax cuts through so they can, set up their big jobs, after they're out of Congress. So they're setting up their jobs with, whoever in Wall Street or some big bank or some big corporation, or a lobbying job in D.C. And so they got to deliver the tax cuts in order to be first in line for that. I can't think of any other real substantive reason why this means so much to them, other than it's just, something they've been saying for so long that they have to do. It's not like they haven't gotten some big tax cuts in recent years. George Bush did it. He had a monster of a tax cut. So this is just, it's their way of kind of, I guess, justifying their existence. And the base is going to see this in a completely different way than the donor class is going to see it. And at the end of the day, maybe you're right. Maybe this is the purely utilitarian way to look at this, is that all of this scandal, all of this smoke, all of this, these investigations and what have you, the one silver lining in it is that it will keep the Democrats from going off the reservation. And, so far I have to give them credit. They've been the populist party. The Republicans, who ran as, the great avatars of the white working class, they haven't done anything for the white working class. In fact, they've made their lives, hell.
Enjoy those Wells Fargo savings accounts that you never signed up for, and those credit card accounts and the whatever it is. Because that's not going to change. And
your health care premiums, and your kid going off S-chip, and all the rest of it. They've made their lives actually materially worse just in the past year, and they will continue to do so. While the Democrats, to their hey, whatever happened to the neoliberal Wall Street sellouts, they're staying quiet at the moment. So good for them.
Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos